So we know it's important to move and to exercise, but form is important too. Our Studio 5 fitness contributor, Emily Nelson, is passionate about this point. So today she's talking technique to help us get the most out of our workouts. Great to see you, friend.
Yes.
Okay, so we're talking lower body. We talked lower body technique.
Yes.
Now we're talking upper body technique today.
Yes, I like geek out about this stuff a little too much.
I love it.
I was like, I'm loving this so much because in the fitness world, what's safe and effective is actually always evolving. So whether you're brand new to like picking up a weight or doing any sort of strength training, or you've been doing it forever, it's good to keep up on going back to the basics of form and being like, am I even working the muscle I intended?
Right.
Am I doing this correctly? So I had so much fun just getting ready and researching even more.
And 2 points of consideration and concern. One is injury prevention.
Absolutely.
Right? But the other is just getting the most out of what you're doing.
Yeah, is it effective? Is what I'm doing actually pinpointing the muscle that I think it is?
Yeah.
Or am I doing other things where it's bringing in other muscle groups that don't need to be there or injuring a different one?
All right, girlfriend, where do we start?
Yeah, so we're gonna pick up our weights.
Did I get the 20s?
No, I gave you the 8s.
Okay.
I wanted to steal them for myself.
Very
but I
kind
was
of
being
you.
very nice.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna talk about bicep curl, which that is such a straightforward. I was like, I know how to do a bicep curl. But we're gonna really break it down. So the first thing is we're gonna talk about our posture. So we're gonna retract our shoulders. So we're just gonna I always like to think about setting my shoulder.
And I always think I'm there, and then you do that, and you're like, oh, I wasn't quite there.
Yeah, it's like this. And you don't wanna be like puffing out your chest, but just retract your shoulder blades.
Right.
The next tip is we're gonna bring our sides, and you wanna go like you have a pin running through your elbows, and then it's gonna go through your torso and hook, and you wanna pin those elbows to your
Never
side.
heard it explained like that.
Yeah, so you wanna pin them in, and no matter what happens, they stay pinned.
They stay there.
It's not like it's really there. I'd have to go like this,
But
right?
touching, I mean, you are
touching,
connected.
yes.
Okay.
And then the next thing is stance. You could stay in a wide stance. I'm gonna have you stay that way since you're in heels.
Okay.
But I'm gonna show another option is if anytime we create instability, then you have to really tighten up the rest of your body. So
Like
if you
when you
wanna
wear heels?
Yeah, like when she's already got instability, so we're gonna go. But you could also do a split stance, and that way the weight is in the front foot and kind of you're unbalanced. So we've got.
But that wouldn't affect what's happening in my upper body.
No,
That would
no.
stay-
But if you're already feeling unstable, you would for sure keep it at 2 feet because you want to control. So we've got our retraction, we've got our posture, we've got our split stance, and we've got it here. Now we're going to go into range of motion. So I want you to come up with me. We're going to come up, and as soon as you hit that flexion, you don't need to go very far. Right there, you hit it. A lot of times people come all the way up, and what that's going to do is that's going to engage your shoulder, and it's also going to get you to start swinging. So remember, our elbows are locked. We're going to come up, and as soon as we feel that flexion in our bicep.
What do you mean by flexion? Like
Like if you're doing a flex. So this is flexion.
Flexion.
Yes, and then this is extension.
Okay.
So when we flex and we immediately feel that right there
When
at
you
the
feel
top.
the muscle engage. Or,
Yes, you don't need to go very high. And now we're gonna go in timing. So we're gonna go up for 2, and then we're gonna lower 4, 3, 2, 1. Up for 2, and down 4, 3, 2, 1.
And it should always be that pace, that controlled.
Not always, but that's a good one to stand by.
And to check form.
Yes, because if you're going, the biggest things we see is if you're too heavy, start the swinging, and also this, there's no reason, you're working your shoulders. If that's the case, then you want to do a different move to actually work your shoulders.
Okay.
So we talked about stance, we talked about posture, this range of motion, and then timing, keeping it controlled. You could do this with no weights, 1-pounders, 20-pounders, depending if you have built up to that, but it's just keeping that good technique. I can feel it right away. I'm already sweating. I'm gonna have pit stains pretty soon here. All right, so that is our bicep. Now let's talk about variations. You see a lot of times, the exact same stance, a one-armed bicep curl. Now the reasoning behind that would be that when you do that, you can actually lift heavier. Do you feel how it feels easier? Because your other arm is at rest. So if you're wanting to go up in weight or you only have a certain amount of weight, you could switch to one-armed.
One-armed.
Or also a wrist, rotating the wrist, which is called pronation or supination. That's fancy, so we just say wrist and turning.
I'm hearing and learning all sorts of words that I never knew.
But I'm just saying, basically, it breaks down to like rotating the wrist.
We expect this geekiness from you, and you're giving it to us.
We've got it, right?
Yeah.
So those are just little tiny variations where you can still keep that technique.
Okay.
All right, so let's talk about tricep extensions. So we've seen this for years. We were talking about it backstage.
Yeah.
This move. Everyone's like, what am I doing? This hurts. I don't know what's happening.
Right.
They've since said that it's actually not the best tricep move because you're moving on a single plane up and down, and it's not as effective. So if you have to do an overhead tricep, what we want to see
I feel like
is
that's the only one I know, so this is good.
we're going to show you another one.
Okay.
Is we're going to take it at one arm. So instead of just going up and down, you're going to follow almost like a V-like form. So don't bend the wrist. You're going to take it out, and you're gonna come behind your head, and then you're gonna extend out.
And how is this better again?
Because you're not cranking your neck as much, you're actually working the tricep much more effectively because your range of motion so much more. You can get lower on your back, right?
Yeah.
And because it's only on a single up and down plane when you're doing both, but here you're able to work the entire tricep all the way down. So try that next time.
Okay, I will. We got 1 minute left. You got a couple more for us?
Yes, a seated tricep extension is another one, but I want to show you one because the lateral fly is one that I have been guilty of in the past doing it wrong.
Okay.
So the lateral fly, a lot of times what you see is people either do it with too straight of arms or at a 90-degree bend.
Looks familiar.
Somewhere in the middle is where you actually want to be. So you want to, once again, have good posture, but slightly lean forward. You want a slight bend in the elbows, and then you want to lead with your pinkies and your elbows. So we're pushing with our pinkies and our elbows, and you think about lifting. Think about lifting and coming back down. Slight bend, lean forward. You're gonna get so much more of that mind-muscle connection, less strain in the back, in the neck, and just like that, these little tweaks of going pinkies leading, elbows lifting, and always thinking about the muscle that you're wanting to work is so important.
It's that engagement, right?
Yes.
Thank you for pointing us to the basics. Always good to refresh and review. And we will post this on our website if you want to work out alongside Emily. And we can meet you on Instagram too, yes?
Always, yes. Hi Fitness Emily.
Hi Fitness Emily. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Brooke.